Workmen are inspecting the track on the main line. They check the rails for signs of wear and replace the ballast when needed. It was important for the engines to whistle to tell the men to clear the line whenever they are passing by. One morning, Connor arrived at Edward Station, Wellsworth, looking rather annoyed. Problem, Connor? Burko asked. There is something to be said, said Connor. For quiet engines like you, Burko, I understand we must whistle for the workmen, but some of it is most excessive. It isn't wrong, of course, but Connor's speech was interrupted by a booming whistle in the distance. It grew longer and louder, and soon Murdoch shrieked through with a heavy goods train. I rest my case, Connor corrected. Later, Boko found Murdoch resting in the shed. If you come to complain about my whistle, snapped Murdoch. I had quite enough from Gordon already. I am not complaining. I'm curious, Boko interjected. I never heard you make such a racket. Well, it's because of this new ballistic driver. Seems to think my whistle's a toy. Blows at any chance he gets too long and much too loud. Murdoch shuddered. I tell him to stop, but he only laughs. I quite understand, said Boko. In my experience, new drivers tend to learn their lessons rather quickly. It can't happen quickly enough, sighed Murdoch. The workmen had nearly reached Marin Station. Every day, Murdoch would rush past, whistling well before reaching the men, and long after too. You're going to wear him out at this rate, said the fireman. Nonsense, scoffed the driver. Why give him a big blooming whistle when we're not going to use it? I don't think you understand which engine you're driving, said the fireman. He never wants to whistle again after you've been through with him. And he was right. Murdoch grew increasingly irritated at the sound of his own whistle and barely said a word to anyone as he scoffed down the line. The other engines weren't as sympathetic. When do we get some of that peace and quiet you're always moaning about? Teased Connor and Caitlin. One morning, mist shrouded the island and a light rain made the rails damp. Murdoch backed down onto his goods train at the yards. Murdoch set off, but he was struggling to see the line ahead. All too often, his focus was broken by his own whistle. Will you stop that? He barked at the driver. This journey will be hard enough without you making that racket. Had to let people know that we're coming, especially in this, don't we? The driver replied with a smirk. They soon approached Edward Station. Murdoch knew what came next, Gordon's Hill, and a hard climb. Boker was nearby and tried to toot a friendly hello, but of course it was shadowed by the sound of Murdoch's own whistle as he charged at the hill. Once he reached the top, Murdoch braced for himself for what would come next, but there was no whistle. I'm glad you're seeing sense, sighed Murdoch, but this is one time we had to whistle. I can't, cried the driver. Something's jammed. Murdoch went pale as he saw the workmen were just down the line. The driver pulled the whistle chain with all his might, but still no sound came out. Look out! Look out! Murdoch shouted into the mist. The workmen were startled. They saw Murdoch and jumped clear just in time. With brakes screeching, Murdoch blew past. But he was able to slow down and came to a stop. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Soon Boker arrived to help. Look, Murdoch, seems the lesson has been learned, Boker grinned as he saw the flight controller talking severely to the driver who had just happened to be visiting the site at the time. Hours later, he came to see Murdoch. "I'm very proud of you, Murdoch. The workman told me you had never been so loud before, but your quick thinking prevented a very nasty action. It all soon amends, for now. I'm sure you'll enjoy some whistle-free moments at peace." "Thank you, sir," chuckled Murdoch. Sure enough, Murdoch was soon back on the main line. His whistle was working better than ever and saw far less usage than before. The driver had taken a temporary leave from the footplate. He volunteered to assist the workman with repairing the line. Whenever he heard Murdoch's whistle, he smiled, knowing it meant one or two things: I want to stand clear, or a means of aggressing others.